Okay, this is Keith Hall, and I have a grant proposal I'd like to run by you. And we'll go through these slides kind of quickly. I'm trying to keep the presentation small so we can load it on YouTube. But it's an I-3 grant, and possibly if we go through these slides too quickly, you can go back and review them when we're all done. I made this originally. I was going to try to email it to you, but it was too big a file. So. Okay, I have the list of schools in our co-op, and I would like for each school to be involved in this program. I put student at the top because each one of you have students out there that are hard to connect with, and that's who this program will focus on. There's a rural component to the grant and a special ed component, so I think it's a good fit for all of us to be together, especially with the geographical location. One thing we're going to do with these kids, each one's in your community. We're going to give them a laptop because that will be their link to academic instruction. And it'll be a little different type of instruction, although there will be live instruction on the laptop. And we'll kind of look at learning in our instruction in a different way on this program. But technology will be a big component of it. We'll have to have good technology in place, and we'll have to have good machines in the kids' hands that are capable of getting interactive video, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Waiting for my next slide to come up here. I've got a timer on this device. Okay, each student that's enrolled in your school, they'll be enrolled in your school. They'll be your full-time students. They'll have learning goals set. It'll be linked with academics. There'll be a trained mentor on site at your school that will help them set them learning goals, as well as make some decisions on how we're going to link those with academics. So that's a person we have on site at your school, and we'll have some adults in key places. That's one component of this particular philosophy we're going to look at, is connecting adults with kids. What we'll have. First thing we'll need to have is a quality video instruction or interactive TV instruction system set up, real-time video that's of high quality that students can receive on their laptops. And there's some technology that'll have to be in place to do that. And the academics will be integrated into their learning goals, as well as an internship we'll talk about here in just a second. We'll have to create some access points in the community. One access point for technology might be the public library. The hours they have are attractive, I think, for kids, that they're open beyond the time that school is. And they have, most of the communities, our communities, have technology in place that would support what we're doing. If you in your community you don't have a library that fits the bill, we can make another decision on what fits you best. That's one thing about this. I think there's quite a bit of flexibility that you can build it to how it works in your community. I do think there's some themes that we need to maintain, but I think we can work with your particular unique situation. Another thing that's important in this program is internships, and this group that I'm going to introduce here in a minute feels like internships are important. They're a connection with an adult. They're meaningful work, and we'll make our best effort to tie their learning goals with their internship. The important part of that is connecting with a significant adult. Student advisory. We'll need to decide the best way to implement a student advisory. We'll be looking at some pretty small numbers in your communities, so there'll be we might have to work out a little bit on how to connect kids with kids, but especially connecting kids with a mentor that's at school. That's key to this program, and that'll be a trained mentor. And we'll have to decide some ways that we are going to create advisory, because that's a central focus of this idea. Okay. Well, this is the first time my audio's worked the whole time. I've got a slide out of place. That should have been back there a little ways, but if we didn't talk about it, school will be an access point, and we do have a mentor there, and the mentor will be trained as well as monitoring academic progress. Sorry, skipped over that. Okay, training. Training will come from a group called Big Picture Learning. They've developed some schools across the country. I don't know if they have a unique approach, but I think they are an approach that's about connecting kids with adults, which I can identify with. I do think they also have some very good thoughts about how to connect academics to real world type things. And here's what they call their distinguishers. These distinguishers are kind of their philosophy on what keeps them coherent. One thing I'm sure we'll talk about is authentic assessment and rigor. I think that's something they're good at, and I'm sure that's a conversation we'll have. Number of questions to be answered. Which kids? Why do we do it? What do we have to do to get there? What's different? And I'll encourage you to do some research on your own about what's different. I'll give you some resources for that. What's in it for the K through 10 kids, because most of this is for the upper level kids. What's in it for Osborne specifically, and a timeline. Timeline's pretty short. Okay, who's eligible? Dropout recovery students, students in need of an alternative path, and identified seniors, and we can make some decisions on who's identified and how we want to select kids for this program. Who should be eligible? This would be, I kind of stuck this slide in here, this would be a great program for gifted kids or academically advanced seniors. But we'll focus on our lower level kids to start, but that's not to say down the road that there may be some things that kind of manifest itself through this conversation. Okay, hurdles. We got to have training. We got to deliver the technology. We got to maintain it. We got to decide how many kids we can generate. We got to decide how we're going to ramp up. We got to have a budget. We got to have help with the grant writing that we'll need to pay for. We'll need to create a partnership, a business partnership, and we'll have to decide how to sustain it. I've got a CPA contacted to talk to us a little bit about the partnership we can create. These guys have a little different idea about how you move forward in your learning. I encourage you to do some research on advancement by learning exhibition. I give you an example there how we could have a flexible schedule, and that website there is a little clip of Dennis Litke, that's a big picture guy, just to give you a little quick glimpse on what he's about. Why do it? Maybe the only new money you have coming in, maybe able to help you hold on to a key staff member that could facilitate this program. It's a way to do school differently. It's like a new school startup, be a chance to do something positive when everything else is going to be kind of tough. You might take a moment and go back and read this slide, because I think there's some important things about it, especially if you have a learning center, because I think a learning center can work with it. Here's another reason to do it. We have these virtual schools out there that are recruiting our kids. I think it's a wrong model and a wrong experience, and I think we can do so much better than what they're doing with it and do our kids a better job. So this could give us an opportunity to connect with some kids that we haven't been able to connect with, and also I think provide a model on how these virtual schools should be done. Not every school has a strong monitoring program as far as progress monitoring. I would advocate that we include in the grant that we put in progress monitoring for all the schools for the upper level, and I think that would be helpful. What's in it for us? I'd like for Osborne to be the center of the operation. We'll need to hire a director. Someone besides the superintendent at Osborne will be the director. And we'll need things like bookkeepers, academic teachers. I'd like for the delivery to come from our district. Could help us fund some positions. And I'd like, if there's training, for it to be delivered at Osborne. That would be some requests I have for the program. Here's some reference information from the Coalition Central Schools, where most of this stuff comes out of. Some names you can Search or Ted Sizer, Dennis Lipke, Deborah Meyer, Big Picture Learning. These are all people that kind of are cut from the same cloth on this concept. Okay, coming up on our last slide is that we'll have to put a timeline to this and let us know, for you to let us know when you want to be in. I think that'll be when you decide that you're interested enough to ante up for the grant writer. So I'll have some more information for you in December, but this is just a start. Thank you. Okay, this is Keith Hall, and I have a grant proposal I'd like to run by you, and we'll go through these slides. Okay, this is Keith Hall, and I have a grant proposal I'd like to run by you, and we'll go through these slides.